Hi, welcome back to the Few Show, everybody. My name is Bud. I am Chief of Staff at Xfusion.io and co-host of the Few Show. I am excited to be joined today by my guest, Ivan Barajas Vargas. Ivan is the CEO and co-founder of MuukTest. He is a computer systems engineer and holds an MBA from UNC Kenan-Flagler, where his specialization was strategy and entrepreneurship. Ivan is passionate about startups, strategy, and solving problems. He has advised and participated in a handful of startups and is the co-founder of MuukTest, a no-code test automation acceleration platform. Ivan, it's awesome for you to be on the show, buddy. Thanks for being on.
Thank you, Bob, for the invite, and thank you everyone for watching this video and this podcast.
Yeah, so I want to start off just talking about Mook and how you got your name, MuukTest. This is fascinating to me. Mook is the Mayan word for empowerment, if I'm not mistaken. That took me an awful long time to figure out. So there has to be a story there. Were you empowering yourself? Are you empowering your customers? Like how did you come up with this name?
Yeah,
I'm interested to figure this out.
That's a good initial question. So yeah, what happened there is, well, I'm originally from Mexico. So when my co-founder and me, we started talking about the startups and we had some ideas to launch. We wanted to have a connection to our roots. So we wanted to select an Aztec or a Mayan word that kind of explained what we were trying to achieve with the Mook Labs. The company is Mook Labs, and we have created a software MuukTest. So after reviewing different words, we liked Mook because, as you said, it's empowerment. And right now, we are working to empower software development teams to be more innovative and go to market faster. So yeah, we like the word because it's empowerment, and we empower software development teams to go faster to market with more quality.
Okay. So that's very cool. I mean, that word just fascinated me. And like I said, it took me forever to figure that one out. Because that word actually has meanings in several different languages. And I finally came across it in the Mayan, and I'm like, okay, there we go.
Actually, it's funny because when we were doing that research, we liked another couple of words. So we selected like 3 words, top words. There was one that we liked a lot, but when we looked in Google for that word, that was a bad word in Sweden or something like that. So yeah, we didn't want to use that one. It was like it was not the nicest of the words in Sweden, so we went with Mook. Yeah.
Well, good call.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you explained a little bit about what Mook does, or MuukTest. So let's kind of get a little more into that. Because again, I looked this up, codeless software testing. I'm still not exactly sure what this does and what pain point this hits. So let's get into a little bit more about what exactly this is doing for people.
Yeah, sure, good question. So what happens is, every software that we use even if it is in a smartphone or a web application, the software gets developed by software developers, and then it needs to be tested before we use the software. So what the software development teams do is, initially when they are small, they test it manually totally. At some point, they start growing, and they need to hire manual testers to test the software manually. And some teams hire test automation engineers, which are software developers. They need to code scripts to test the software. That's called automation. When some scripts are coded to test the software automatically, let's say that you want to test Amazon. Everyone knows Amazon. So you want to test. So if they are automating, they could hire, they have thousands, I guess, of test automation engineers that create the scripts coding to automate, to test the critical parts of Amazon every time They go to production, which they do several times per day. So that needs to be automated. So what happens is then they have two options, the companies, doing tests manually, developers or manual testers, or hiring test automation engineers, which are software developers, and there are not many, so it's difficult for the companies. So what MuukTest does is to enable any company to create test automation super fast, because it's a no-code platform. Anyone in the company, let's say a manual QA, a project manager, product manager, they can use MuukTest to use their software, and we will analyze the software and create automated tests based on the learnings. So basically, we enable anyone to be a super test automation engineer, even they don't know how to code. More or less, or do you want me to go deeper on something? Yeah.
No, that's fine. That actually helps quite a bit.
Yeah.
If you want to go further into it, you can. But that actually helps quite a bit. So it's a big deal. I'm gathering that you can do this without having to go into the code.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Correct.
So explain to me how you've been able to build this without having to be able to go into the code, because that's all over your website, no code, testing.
Yeah. So
on the back end, how have you been able to do that?
Yeah. So for us, we base all of the learnings on the web application HTML. So every application that has a web interface, actually, if you are right now on internet, in your browser, you can go and look at source code. So, I mean, anyone in the call can go and go to, if you're in Chrome, view, developer, view source. So that's some kind of code that is creating the web page that we are seeing, the web application. So what we do is we work with that code, which is public. So we analyze that source code that is HTML, and we analyze it, and depending on what the users are doing in every step, we analyze what they did, we match it with the code, and we create scripts that replicate what the user does without the need of the user. So basically, we track what the users do and match that with what happened in the code, and we generate the scripts based on that, which the next time that a user, let's go again to the Amazon example, let's say that I'm testing that I can add certain book, let's say a software engineering book, to my cart, and then buy it. So if I'm a manual tester, I have to do that manually every time. If I use MuukTest, I do it once, and MuukTest will generate a script automatically that the next time that I want to run the test, I just click play, and that sequence will be run in seconds instead of me having to do everything manually. More or less, yeah.
Nice. Nice, yeah. No, great job. So is this something that you were doing before, and you're like, man, I'm tired of doing this, so you created MuukTest? Or what was the genesis of you solving this problem?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because actually me and my co-founder Renan, I was working as a software QA architect for one large enterprise, and he was working as a software development architect in another large enterprise. And when we talk about problems we were seeing, we saw how slow it was to do testing and how expensive we were, architects and managers. It was super expensive to get testing and automation. So we decided to get together and brainstorm how to make it easier. So the answer is yes. Both of us, we're seeing the problems in our companies, and we decided to talk about how to fix this in a more efficient way and using the latest developments on AI.
Nice. So you saw a problem, wanted to fix it. You're like, let's go for it. So it says on your LinkedIn that you're still working for that big company. Is that true? Are you still with EMC?
No, I left 2019. Yeah, early 2019.
Okay.
So I have been working 2 years and a half full time in MuukTest. Yeah.
Full time. Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you were just working there to help supplement MuukTest, or if you went ahead and went full in on MuukTest, and good for you. Now you've dipped your toe into entrepreneurship before, correct? Like you've started some other businesses. What do you think is the difference with MuukTest? Why do you think MuukTest is the one that has caught and stayed as compared to some of your other ventures?
Yeah. I launched another 3 or 4. One is still alive, but it's not related to software. But I think the difference is, and actually with my co-founder, we tested other 3 startups, and we got some progress. But then we decided they were not the right startup to focus on. And what happened is, and I don't know now, I mean, they say that hindsight is not good, right? But in hindsight, I don't know why we never focused on what we were doing at the time in our companies, the specialty we had. So I think something that happened to us is we knew we wanted to be entrepreneurs and launch a startup. We were identifying problems and trying to solve them. But at the beginning, we were focusing on industries that we were not experts at. And we had to learn a lot in order to understand the problem and the solution better. So when we got to the MuukTest idea and we started working on that, it was easier for us because those were problems we were seeing. So we were basically the first customer interview because we were living those problems. And when we were talking to potential customers or users, we were able to understand their language because we were experts in this area. So the others, so in summary, is the others were not in my area of expertise, and it was going to take a longer learning curve to get to a good state to understand problems and solutions. And when we focused on MuukTest, it was something we knew, software engineering. So it was easier to understand the problems and potential solutions.
Sure. And I mean, there's obviously a bit of passion there for you. I mean, like you like to talk about this, you like to do something about it. So, I mean, that's always a big help, you know, when you have a passion for solving the problem that you're working on. So, I mean, good for you guys. So you started off as a boy down in, I asked you this before, and I just want to make sure I get it right, Tecalitlan, Mexico, right? Now that's fairly far south down. If my memory serves me right, it's just directly west of Mexico City. You grew up there, you make the transition all the way up to Raleigh, North Carolina. I mean, that's quite a trip. So kind of walk me through your boyhood years and what made you go all the way from, you know, deep down Mexico all the way up to the East Coast in America to come to work or go to school or whatever that transition was.
Yeah. And good Spanish, by the way. You said it well. Tecalitlan. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I was born in this small town of 16,000 people in the west coast of Jalisco state. Jalisco is one of the largest states in Mexico. Pretty close to Jalisco's main city is called Guadalajara, which is one of the largest cities in Mexico. So we were like hour and a half from Guadalajara. So I was born there. I did my elementary school there. And close to middle school, we had to move to the big city, to Guadalajara, my parents and me and my siblings, because my father used to work in a sugar factory, in a sugar mill that was like the economy in that small town, and they had to close. So when they closed, we were pushed to move to the big city to continue. I mean, for my father to get a job, and we so we could have a home and everything. So we had to move there. And actually, I mean, it's one of those things that when that happened, it was kind of a tragedy because my parents didn't want to leave the town and everyone was happy there. But we had to move to Guadalajara. But at the end, it was a move that changed our lives because I was able to go to a pretty good engineering school there later, where
Nice.
I learned computer science. My brother and my sister as well, they were able to go to college there. If we had stayed in the small town, it would have been more difficult. So from there, I studied computer science there in Guadalajara, in ITESO is called the school. Then I moved to Monterrey, in Monterrey City in Mexico, which is another of the largest cities in Mexico, to work as a software engineer for a company that was giving services to EMC. So I was kind of a consultant for EMC. And after a while, I got offered a promotion to move to US, and I took the promotion. And in 2011, I moved here to Raleigh, North Carolina, to work for EMC and also to study a MBA. That was my goal in moving here because I knew that here, North Carolina, in the Raleigh area, we had 3 great schools for business. So I decided to go to UNC Kenan-Flagler and study my MBA there. And yeah, so I studied there. I got connected with the entrepreneurial scene here, talking to startups, advising some startups. At the end of the program, I decided I wanted to launch a business, and that's when I started working on different startup ideas. Which at the end of the other 4, it became MuukTest in 2019. So yeah, that's the long story short. Yeah.
Well, nice. I mean, that's a good journey, and that was you kind of answered some of my other questions there, because when I was doing some research on Tecalitlan there, it's kind of like the town that I live in. It's just my town's about 15,500, and it's kind of a rural town with not a lot of techie much of anything.
Yeah.
You know, there's lots of cattle, and there's not as much mariachi as there is in Tecalitlan, but it's just not very conducive to tech learning. It's becoming more prevalent, but I was just very interested in how that all took place. So that's a great story.
Yeah, and actually, you said mariachi. Yeah, actually, the Tecalitlan is known for the best mariachi in the world. So you got that one right. And actually, the mariachi is called Mariachi Vargas, and my second last name is Vargas because my great grandfather was kind of second cousin of the founder of the mariachi, so I have some relationship there, but pretty small. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, but
do you sing mariachi?
I don't play any instrument. Unfortunately, I don't do it. Yeah.
So the apple did fall a little far from the tree there, huh?
Yeah. But also, you mentioned also like there is not a techie environment there, and that's totally true. Actually, one of my ideas as I keep advancing in my career is trying to help that. I mean, now tech jobs can be done remotely from anywhere, so I'm thinking about helping on that in that town, maybe some kind of code school or not code school to help anyone to create applications and testing them, I'm thinking about doing something there to help grow the tech scene and give more opportunities.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we hire from all over, and I think that's one of the great things about this industry is you don't have to be, from anywhere necessarily to be working in this arena. You can be, from absolutely anywhere in the world as long as you have a connection. And I think that's awesome. So yeah, more power to you, man. If you can get that going, my kids, if they can get a job where they can work from anywhere and have the ability to make more money than I did and not have to work as hard as, there's nothing wrong with hard work, mind you, but they don't have to kill themselves doing what I did, then I think that's fantastic. So yeah, awesome. So you were saying that after you went up to Raleigh and you went to school and got your MBA, you kind of got interested in the entrepreneur scene up there. That is not necessarily one of those places where I think is a huge like software entrepreneurial scene. Usually if you think software entrepreneurial scenes, you think obviously, Silicon Valley, you think down kind of, well, even here in Colorado, you think like Boulder or Denver area. You think down Austin, that kind of area. What does that scene look like over there in the Raleigh area? That's not one that I'm familiar with being conducive to, software startups.
Yeah, actually, it has been growing a lot. A lot of people call it the Raleigh-Durham area because Durham is also pretty close to Raleigh, and a good quantity of startups in both cities. And also you have Chapel Hill, which is where the University of North Carolina is. So the three towns, Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill, are pretty close together. Each of these towns, they have top universities, NC State, UNC Chapel Hill, Duke. So that has fueled the growth of the startup scene in the area because there is great talent. The last couple of years, I have seen the growth of that. We have a couple of unicorns already here in the area, like Pendo, for example. And before that, so that's now like a lot of interest in the area because of the talent and the startup scene is growing. But also part of this is that in the 70s, 80s, it was called Research Triangle Park. So the RTP area had a lot of companies, IBM, Cisco. They had big operations here. A lot of products were created here for IBM, Cisco, Red Hat is 2 blocks from here, from where I am. So I think it's like a well-kept secret that it's starting to get known. But there has always been entrepreneurship here, and the last couple of years it has been growing more in high-tech startups. And yeah, I think from the second tier of cities of entrepreneurship, Raleigh is one of the top. And when I say second tier, is just behind the top tier, which is New York, Boston, and San Francisco, right? The Silicon Valley. So in the second tier, it might be pretty close to Boulder and growing as fast as Austin as well. So
nice.
So yeah, it's not that known, but it's picking up a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Good deal. So with what you're doing and what you're solving, what are you finding is one of your biggest pain points so far? Since you started in 2019, you're a little over 2.5 years in. What are you finding is one of your biggest pain points? You've been able to get some money now. You've been head down, working hard. What have you found is one of your pain points, your biggest pain point?
Yeah, right now for us is, so we have developed a commercial product that is already in the market with paying customers, but we have learned a lot from this customers' usage. We have learned a lot, and we have identified different pain points that we can solve. And right now, that's so many things. So one of the pain points is how to pick properly the one game changer that we have identified. Let's say 3 game changers. And so one of the big pain points is how to go about those 3 in the roadmap, like make the right decisions about which of these ones should be built first, which second, and which in third place. So yeah, it's a lot of thinking and analysis of data to make the right decisions in the roadmap, because we have been learning a lot from the usage of the product and who uses it, how they solve their problems on automation, what problems they have after automation. So yeah, basically it's being able to pick the right order of the game changers we are building. So we got to, so we are more efficient on getting to them.
Gotcha. Having said that, like, how long did it take you to get that initial product out? How long did it take you to get your MVP made and out, something that was really viable?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it took us close to 8 months to get to one MVP, and then 1 year to get to the commercial version. So we could say like 6 to 8 months to get an MVP that we were getting feedback. From there, that MVP, we were already doing trials. So some people were using them, but we were not confident but we didn't want to charge for it because we were learning a lot. And at some point, we say, okay, the product is robust. We know we are solving a problem. Let's start charging. This will be a commercial version. And that was in February of last year. So we have been like over 18 months with a commercial product. So yeah, so it took us 6 to 8 months, the MVP, and then around 1 year to get to a commercial version.
Nice. All right. And as far as like leadership goes, so now you've been the co-founder and CEO of this for 2.5 years, or a little over.
Yeah.
At your other job, you were manager, systems technical strategy manager. You were group lead. You've kind of been in leadership for several years now. What in your mind makes for a good leader, and how do you plan on using that to help catapult MuukTest going forward?
Yeah, I think some of the leaders that I admire, one of the best things is lead by example. That's a classic, but still super valid, right? So I think you cannot try to lead or manage a team, which is different, lead and manage, but you cannot manage if you are not living the values that you are predicating or that you want to put in the company. One of the best books in culture that I have read, it's called "What You Do Is What You Are Is What You Do." Or it's the opposite. What you do is what you are. So it's from Ben Horowitz. So basically, that book what says is at the end, the culture of companies, which is related to leadership, the culture of companies depends a lot on the values of the founders and the values of the executive team and how they live those values. So we can say that certain company wants to follow 5 values, but if no one in the company is living those values, that won't happen, right? So coming back to the initial point, lead by example, lead by example with values, lead by example with anything that is your leadership style, lead by example, and also be compassionate as well. Like it's not just business. Everyone is a person. Everyone is a person, right? So it's not business like in the past that it was just trying to get production done. So
Yeah.
I would say those two for me. I follow the leaders that I like. They have those kind of values and statements. One is totally compassionate leadership, and the other one is lead by example.
Nice. That is such a change in just the way that businesses in general have been going over the last, several years, but really over the last probably 5 or 6 years is really the compassion piece towards their employees and the way that you see businesses treating their employees. But it really kicked into overdrive with COVID and the pandemic. Businesses had to change the way that they saw their employees and saw how they were actually people and not just numbers or just things, to be part of the business, that their employees were actually, people that had feelings and emotions. And it's really been amazing to me how businesses have kind of done a 180 on how they're treating their people now. Especially in the tech and software world, it's just because they don't have them in-house anymore, so they're like, okay, we have to figure out how to have these people that are working remotely and figure out how we can treat them like people and love on them and just be there for them. And it's just been such a paradigm shift in the way that we just treat each other. You can talk about the way that we treat people outside of work, but the way that businesses have been treating their people has been awesome, I think.
Yeah, I think it's an evolution.
Exactly.
It's an evolution in most of the businesses. I don't think everyone is there yet, but at least you can see the trend that things are improving in that sense. At least in the developed world. Yeah.
Sure. But it is going towards that way. Mm-hmm. And if you go back and listen to a lot of these shows that we're doing, that's definitely the trend that you're seeing, is people are like, man, we really appreciate our people, and we've realized that they're just people, and it's awesome. So, good for you. I like that answer.
Thank you. Yeah.
So you've been doing this for a while now. What advice would you give to yourself if you go back 10 years, 10, 15 years? What would you say to yourself?
So if I go back right now 10 years, or if I go...
Yep.
Okay. If I go back...
Yeah.
So 10 years, it would take me, 2011. That's when I moved here. So that's perfect timing. And actually it was in October 10 years ago. It's 10 years since
nice.
I'm in the US. So that's a perfect,
nice.
A perfect question. Perfect timing. I think I haven't talked about that one, but maybe something that I learned at that point I was not good at. I'm not good at, maybe not now, but at least I learned about the value of networking. So when I came here, I dislike networking, you could say. Like I didn't like. I felt it was empty. It was sales or trying just to. But I misunderstood it. So then I started doing some networking. So yeah, let me recapitulate. So when I came here, I didn't know the value of networking. I didn't understand it, and I felt it was just cold trying to sell. And a lot of people does it that way. But also I learned that you can do value networking, help someone, and at some point maybe you need some help or some support, and they might help you. So what I would say, the advice would be, yeah, don't be afraid of networking. It's not cold-hearted networking. Do value networking, give value to the community you are, to everyone you know, and start creating a network and try to help people. And networking can be good over time. It's not a cold activity. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's another thing that I found talking to founders is networking is super important. Especially, just if you have a question, founders, especially in today's economy and just the way that things are, founders are more than willing to talk to other founders because they want other founders to succeed. If you succeed, then I succeed. If I succeed, then they can succeed. And they love networking and just helping each other. So, great answer. We're going to be running out of time here soon. So I want to get down to the last couple questions that I ask everybody on this show. Number one is, what advice would you give to founders or soon to be founders that are going to be watching this program?
Yeah, I think definitely talk to customers learn how to talk to customers and talk to them before you build something. Talk to your potential customers, users. If you are a B2B, talk at least to 50. If you are a B2C, at least 100. So learn how to talk to them. There is a good book called The MuukTest. So every time that someone tells me, I want to launch this idea, I tell them, go and check this book and talk to 50 people and then come back. So yeah, talk to 50 people at least and learn how to talk to them, because you don't need to pitch your idea. You need to learn what problem they are trying to solve. So that would be my advice. Yeah.
Nice. And then what is the best way for our viewers to get in touch with you if they so choose?
Yeah. Send me an email, ivan@mooklabs.com. I still reply most of the emails, all of the emails. I still reply them. So yeah, send me an email, ivan@mooklabs.com. Yeah.
And that is MUUKLABS.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Right on. Ivan, thank you so much for being on the show, my friend. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, it was great. Pretty good questions. And yeah, anyone that wants to talk startups or something, just shoot me an email. Thanks for the invite, Bob.